Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving headfirst into some serious AI detective work. A whole series of leaks has given us this secret, pre-release look at what could be Google's next major AI model, Gemini 3. And what's been uncovered? Well, it shows there are two very different paths Google could take with this thing. So let's get into it. This really is the big question, isn't it? With all the hype flying around and so many competitors in the space, we all want to know, is Gemini 3 just a small step up, or is it a true generational leap? And, lucky for us, some early leaks are giving us a chance to piece together the answer.
So how do we know any of this? Well, this whole story is built on the incredible findings of one developer who somehow managed to get unofficial access to different test versions, or checkpoints as they're called, of Gemini 3. We're going to follow his investigation, step by step, and see how this thing evolved right before his eyes.
You know, every good detective story starts with a single clue. And the first breadcrumb on the trail for Gemini 3? It popped up totally unexpectedly, and then, just as quickly, it vanished.
This right here is what set the whole thing off. For just a little while, a listing for Gemini 3.0 Pro went live on Google's AI platform. Now you might see that date, 11/2025, and think, wait, that's over a year away. But nope, that's not what it means. It's actually internal Google speak, a code that signals the model is basically ready to go, like imminently. The listing got pulled down fast, but it was too late. The cat was out of the bag.
So, with the hunt officially on, our developer started digging deep. And what he found first, wow, it wasn't just a little update, this thing was an absolute powerhouse.
The first big break came from just watching the network traffic, the data going back and forth in Google's AI Studio. He noticed that every 40 or 50 prompts or so, a totally different model ID would pop up. This one started with 2HTT, and that was it. The first real taste of what seemed to be Gemini 3.0 Pro.
And its performance? It was just staggering. This thing could do, well, pretty much everything, and do it incredibly well. We're talking about it spitting out totally sensible architectural floor plans, creating properly composed vector art, producing these gorgeous 3D scenes with amazing lighting. It even crushed complex riddles and whipped up one of the best single-prompt Minecraft scenes the developer had ever seen. But it wasn't just what it made, it was how it felt. The developer pointed out that the first bit of text, the first token, came out just a little bit slower. And that suggests the model was actually taking a moment, doing some heavy lifting, some real deliberation before it answered. It didn't just feel like a machine spitting out a response, it felt like it was thinking.
And you can actually put a number on that feeling. Based on his tests, this 2HTT version was a whopping 25% better than one of its main rivals, Anthropic's Sonnet 4.5. I mean, that is a huge, huge leap forward.
Okay, but just when things are looking amazing, the plot thickens. A different version of the model starts showing up in the tests. And this one, well, it felt kind of nerfed.
And I mean, the difference was night and day. This new version, ECPT, was a clear step down. Those great floor plans, suddenly not so great. The beautiful 3D scenes, they lost all that extra polish. That awesome Minecraft world, it became laggy and just flat. It was still fine, a decent model, but that feeling of a generational upgrade, gone.
So this just threw everyone for a loop, right? Was that first, incredible version just a prototype that was maybe too expensive or too slow to release? Was this weaker version the one we were actually going to get? For a second there, it really felt like the hype might have been for nothing.
But hold on, the story's not over yet. Just when it looked like we were headed for a letdown, another version surfaced. And this one? It didn't just bring the magic back, it cranked it up to 11. This new checkpoint, called X28, felt like, okay, this is the one. It had all the power of that first amazing version, 2HT, but then it added even more on top. This was the rebound we were all hoping to see.
And what's so cool is how it got better. The floor plans were now described as, quote, real proper, even coming with controls for the lighting. The vector art had more action, more detail. The 3D scenes just had more flair, more polish. And maybe most importantly, it was super consistent. You got great results again and again. It even totally nailed a really complex network simulation prompt on the very first try.
So, okay, we've seen a strong one, a weak one, and a super strong one. What does it all mean? Let's try and pull all this together and figure out what the verdict is on Gemini 3.
So these powerful versions, the good ones, they all had 4 things in common. First, that feeling of deeper thinking, that slight pause that suggests it's really reasoning things out. Second, they were super consistent, which is absolutely critical if you're a developer trying to build an app with it. Third, they just had great visual taste. The layouts, the fonts, it felt like a designer was at work. And fourth, it showed real promise for tool calling. That's the AI's ability to use other software. And that's the key to building AI agents that can actually do stuff in the real world.
All right, so how does it stack up against the competition? Well, based on these tests, the strong versions of Gemini 3 are right there with or even better than Anthropic's Opus when it comes to generating code. It's clearly way ahead of Sonnet 4.5 in things like spatial reasoning and 3D scenes. And it looks like it'll be really competitive with whatever OpenAI comes out with next in GPT-5, especially on things like math and consistency. Bottom line, this is a top-tier model for sure.
But, and this is probably the single most important thing to take away from all this, it all comes down to the variability. We've seen these different checkpoints, and some are way, way better than others. So the Gemini 3 we actually get, its quality, its impact, all of it depends entirely on which version Google decides to ship.
And that leaves us with the million-dollar question, doesn't it? Which Gemini 3 is Google actually going to give us? Will it be the powerful thinking machine we saw in those top-tier checkpoints, or are we going to get the nerfed, safer version? The answer to that question is going to define the next big chapter in the AI race. Thanks for tuning in.